Hello and welcome to today's video. In this video, you will learn about if function. The if function in Excel is one of the most powerful tools for decision making. It checks whether a condition is true or false and returns results based on that logic. From calculating pass or fail grades to applying discounts or flagging overdue payments, the if function helps bring intelligence into spreadsheets and solves real-world problems with ease. The agenda is to learn if function basics, conditional operators, and then learn if function through some examples. We will start with the conditional operators and the truth table. Here is the truth table. The top one is for the AND operators and the bottom one is for the OR operator. The condition 1 and condition 2 could be set of other functions or statements which evaluates to either true or false. For example, condition 1 may evaluate to true or false. Similarly, condition 2 may evaluate to either true or false. So let us now use AND operator and see what is the results. For example, if condition 1 is true and condition 2 is also true, then the result of AND operator is true. If condition 1 is true and condition 2 is false, then the result is false. Similarly, if condition 1 is false and 2 is true, the result is false. And finally, if both the condition 1 and 2 are false, then the result is false. You may have noted already that the result is true only if both the conditions are true. That is, if condition 1 is true and condition 2 is true, only then the result is true. If either of these conditions, either condition 1 is false or condition true is false, then the result is always false. So essentially, the result is that the AND returns true only if all conditions are true. The OR operator behaves little different. If condition 1 is true or if condition 2 is true, the result is true. If condition 1 is true or if condition is false, the result is still true. If condition 1 is false and condition 2 is true, the result is true. And if both the condition 1 and condition 2 are false, the result is false. And if any of the conditions are true, the result is true. For example, condition 1 is true, so the result is true. Here condition 2 is true and the result is true. In the first case, both are true, hence the result is anyways true. So finally, the verdict is that the OR operator returns true if at least one condition is true. Let us move on to the if function theory. So here I have 4 different types of if statements. We can classify the if statements into 4 categories. The plain if statement, the first one, with one condition. The if statement using an AND operator, which has 2 conditions. The if statement with the OR operator. And finally, the if statement with the nested if. These are the 4 basic types. However, we can also create a complex if statements combining the AND and OR operators. Let's start with the first one, the plain if statement with one condition. This contains a simple condition which evaluates to either true or false. If true, then the statements within the if block are executed and return a value based on the outcome of that processing. If the condition is false, then the else block is executed. Similarly, the if condition with AND operator may have one or more conditions using the AND operator. If both condition 1 is true and condition 2 is true, then we execute the statements within the if block and return the value depending on the processing done here. If false, we will execute the else block and the value returned depends on the processing done in the else block. For example, if score is greater than 40 and attendance is greater than equal to 75%, then return eligible, else return not eligible. Let's now move on to the third category, the if function with OR operator. The if function with OR operator is very similar to the AND operator. However, the conditions are evaluated according to the OR operator logic. If the condition is true, then we process the if block, else we process the else block. For example, if department is equal to HR or department is equal to finance, then return access granted, else return access denied. In this case, if either of these conditions are met, then we return access granted. If none of these conditions are true, only then we return access denied. The final one is the nested if condition. Similar to the other if conditions, if condition is true, we return value 1. If the second condition is true, we return the value 2. Likewise, if there are other conditions, condition 3, we return value 3. Finally, if none of the conditions are true, then we return the value in the else block. For example, if scores are greater than 90, then return A. Else if score is greater than 75, then return B. Else if score is greater than 50, return C. Else fail. Let me now switch to the practice sheet. I have the data table here on the left side, top, and on the right side of the data table is the practice area, and below the table there are practice ideas. So there are 4 practice ideas. We will start with the first practice idea. The first practice is create a column bonus eligible, and the condition is if salary is greater than 30,000, then print yes, else no. So here is our bonus eligible column. Now let me apply the if condition to the cell. So type is equal to if, press tab, and the logical test is that the salary should be greater than 30,000. So I have the salary column here. Select the first cell under the salary column, which is D2. Now if D2 is greater than 30,000, then comma, if this condition is met, then we have to type the value we are going to return if the condition is true. In this case, if the condition is true, then we have to return yes, then comma. If the condition is false, then the second block will be executed. So we are going to type no here. So this completes the if condition. Let me again repeat, if the condition D2 is greater than 30,000 is true, then the first statement is executed. This is our if block, and we are going to return yes if the condition is met. Else, if the condition is not met, we are going to return no. This is our else block. So at the end, close the bracket, press enter. Since the salary is less than 30,000, the output is no. Likewise, go to the edge of the cell and drag the cell to cover the other rows, and as you can see, some of the rows we see the value yes. So here the condition is met, the salary is greater than 30,000, so the value is yes. In this case also the salary is greater than 30,000, so yes. We have yes and no. So wherever the conditions are met, we will see the value yes, and wherever the conditions are not met, we will say the value as no. Now let's move on to the second practice idea. So the condition is if age is greater than 30 and here is the AND operator, performance score is greater than 80, then return yes, else return no. So let me type the value here. Type is equal to if, press tab. Now the logical test. So we are going to use an AND operator. So put AND here and then press tab. The first logical is age is greater than 30. So we have an age column here. column C is age column. So I'm going to select the cell. So if age is greater than 30 and the AND function takes 2 or more logicals. Now we have only 2 logicals, which is age is greater than 30 and performance score is greater than 80. So the second logical will be that of the performance score. So select the cell under performance score here, cell E2, and performance score should be greater than 80. If both these conditions are met, close the AND function. If both these conditions are met, then return yes value. If it is not met, then return false value. In this case, the false value is no. Close the double quote, close the if bracket, and then press enter. So let us examine the output. For the first row, age is 25. That is, age is not greater than 30. So the condition fails. Since the first condition fails, the output would be no. It will execute the else block, which is no. So the output is going to be no. Similarly, drag the cell so that Excel applies the same logic to the remaining cells as well. So you can see there is just one row which has met the AND condition and it has returned the value yes. So let us examine the output. Here the age is 36, so 36 is greater than 30 and performance score is 88, so 88 is greater than 80. So both the conditions are met and that is the reason we see the output is yes. Let us go to the third problem. Create a column training needed. If performance score is less than 75 or observe the OR operator here. So if performance score is less than 75 or salary is less than 28,000, then the value is yes, else the value is no. So let's go to the training needed column here. Type is equal to if, press tab. Now the logical test will be done using the OR operator. So type OR. So the OR operator takes multiple logicals. Now we have only 2 logicals. The first logical is performance score should be less than 75. So go to the performance score cell here, the first one, E2. Select the E2 and the value of that should be less than 75. And the second logical is the salary should be less than 28,000. So the salary value here is in the column D. Select the salary value and this should be less than 28,000. So if either of these conditions are met, that is if E2 is less than 75 or if D2 is less than 28, then the return value would be yes as per the problem statement. If none of the conditions are met, then the return value would be no. Close the bracket and press enter. So in this case, the first row does not qualify both the conditions, so the return value is no. Now repeat the same process. Drag the first cell condition over to the remaining cells. Some of the cells have printed yes. That means either one of the conditions is met in the OR statement. Let us examine the first if statement. Let us examine this statement where the value is yes. So here the performance score is less than 75. This is true because the value is 72. Or the salary is 35,000. So this condition is false, whereas this condition is true. So that is the reason you see the OR operator has returned true. And then if the value of OR operator is true, we are going to print the value yes. Let's now move on to the fourth problem. So create a column performance rating. We have a column for performance rating. And the condition is, it's a nested condition. If score is greater than or equal to 85, then print excellent. Else, if score is greater than or equal to 70, then print good. Else, print needs improvement. So let us type the condition here. So type is equal to if here in the cell I2, so the first condition or the first logical test is that score should be greater than or equal to 85. So select the score value here, which is E2. So this should be greater than or equal to 85. If this is greater than or equal to 85, then print the value excellent. If this is not greater than 85, then we have to execute the else block. Now in the else block, there is one more if statement that we need to introduce. So this is actually a nested if statement. So introduce one more if statement in the else block. So type if. Now again repeat the logical test, which is score should be greater than or equal to 70. So again select the performance score, which is E2. So this value should be greater than or equal to 70. If that is true, then print good, else print needs improvement. So this is a second if statement within the first if. So we are now completing or closing the second if, the nested if. The nested if is closed. Now I'm again closing the main if statement, the first if statement. So close and press enter. So as you can see, it has met the first condition, the first row where the score is equal to 85 has met the condition, first if condition, so it is printed excellent. So repeat the same process for the remaining cells, and here we have the output. As you can see, we have a mix of performance rating values here depending on the score and the condition. Some are excellent, some are good, and there is just one which needs improvement. So in this case, the performance score is equal to 60. So if the performance is not greater than 85 or not greater than 70, then it needs improvement, and that is the reason we have needs improvement value here.